The title is not clickbait. In this video, I am going to be exposing the authenticity of creators and determining if OnlyFans is actually a scam. What started out as a goofy little project I was going to post for Valentine's Day quickly turned into a month-long investigation trying to figure out the legitimacy of this business. Obviously, I can't show any of the actual content as it would violate YouTube and OnlyFans terms of service, but I think you'll quickly learn that the content is not even worth sharing, let alone spending a fortune on. There's hundreds of creators on this site that take advantage of lonely people looking for an easy way to get some action, which in turn leads them to lose a substantial amount of money through some shady practices. For me, that was somewhere around $500. I don't think I was being a cheap bastard when conducting research. Let's start with the obvious. Fabricated women. A large sum of OnlyFans models are, for a better term, fake. Just AI generated or bots. How do I know this? Because many of their accounts on OnlyFans are also linked to their Instagram. Here's an example. Ghost Girl's OnlyFans is free to subscribe, and when you do so, you'll be greeted by a standard welcoming message that immediately tries to get you to buy the first piece of paywall content. However, what you might notice when you subscribe to the account is that there's a link to their Instagram. And when you go there, you'll start to realize, have I been bamboozled? Like, I hesitate to even call somebody out for this because there's a very real chance that these accounts are based on a real person. But the reason why I'm calling out Ghost Girl specifically is because what I noticed after finding their Instagram is that a large sum of their content on OnlyFans is just re-uploads of what they've already posted to their Instagram, but photoshopped more to give off an essence of lewd. Again, I can't show a one-to-one comparison because OnlyFans content is still copyrighted, but if you take this photo that's on their Instagram, then remove the bottom half of their bikini via Photoshopped while increasing the size of the ass and thighs to better block the reproductive area, boom! You have yourselves an inauthentic photo for OnlyFans. And that's the case with a lot of these fake accounts. They'll use such an extreme amount of AI and Photoshop to fabricate women in a way that simultaneously appeals to spenders while clouding skepticism. It is the quintessential gambler's high. They get you hooked on that first piece of content, causing your brain to produce dopamine, and even after it becomes obvious that this isn't a real person you're interacting with, your body continues to produce this neurological response even though you're just losing money. Probably the most infamous example of this came from Swedish creator Ines Helen, who has 1.3 million followers on Instagram, but has some of the most blatant photoshopped images of all time. Like, that should be a crime in itself, the amount of Photoshop that's used in some of these photos. That can't be a real person behind the screen. It's been about a year since people caught wind of this, and luckily, it seems like people are starting to be more cautious when it comes to these creators. But that hasn't stopped a bunch of ne'er-do-wells from scamming people with a non-existent person on OnlyFans. Now, getting my final thoughts in before we moved on, you might notice how these fake accounts on OnlyFans always seem to be online 24/7. And the second you message them, they instantly respond trying to get you to buy more content regardless of the message that was sent. I've never showed my pussy on OnlyFans, but I'm willing to bet there's some kind of automated response system that just makes it easier for these bots to scam users. And you know what's crazy? OnlyFans actually helps promote these scammers. I'm not even exaggerating. Of the fake accounts I subscribe to, only 2 weren't recommended via their homepage. Moving on from fake women, let's take a look at what happens on the off chance you find a real one. How trustworthy are the models on OnlyFans? Well, for starters, I think it's important to mention that just because you subscribe to their accounts doesn't mean you're guaranteed nudes, let alone sex. In fact, of the dozen of accounts I subscribed to, regardless of if it was free or not, there was an equal chance you'd have to pay additional fees to unlock explicit content. So yeah, that's kinda scummy, especially since these subscriptions can cost as much as some streaming services. But at least with Netflix, you still get access to their entire catalog once you pay your subscription for the month. You don't have to pay individually in order to unlock the best content. Or vice versa with Amazon Prime. You subscribe for free, and then you can pay a small amount for each individual movie or program you want to watch. With OnlyFans, you could pay $20 a month and never see some female genitalia. because unless they're active enough that you can message them and they'll receive your requests asking for exclusive content, or you're willing to pay the price that they have bestowed, you're pretty much fucked, and not in a good way. You have to remember, if they're doing OnlyFans, they must think pretty highly of themselves. There's no limit to the price they can put on their content. Sure, some deals are better than others, but I'm sorry, no naked body is worth paying 3 months worth of Netflix for a 20-second clip they probably already had saved on their Snapchat. Again, if it's a free subscription where you pick and choose the individual content you want to buy, I think that's perfectly reasonable. But having to pay for explicit content after already paying a hell of a subscription fee just to access that ability to make a request is fucking insane. You're not paying for porn, you're paying for the concept of it. But at the very least, that's just scummy. It's not illegal, just questionable in a morality sense. However, what definitely falls under the category of scam is false advertising. Much like fabricating women, lying about the content being purchased qualifies as a scam. The biggest case I've noticed with several accounts is rather than constantly making new content to keep buyers satisfied, they might just resell the same content they've already purchased. Like, it's really hard to make a case when I can't show any of the actual content, but basically, there were several instances where I would buy a piece of content during one session. Then a couple sessions later, they would offer me something new. They would promote it as such, but it would be a piece of content I had already purchased. And I'm not talking about a similar recreation that looks identical. No, I'm saying they would just resell the same picture or video, but advertise it as something new, and this became most apparent with their bundle deals. Often when selling a bundle, creators will just reuse content that was already available for free once you subscribed. So you pay $50 for, say, 2 videos and 4 pictures. But 3 of the pictures were already available on their homepage, and you had already purchased 1 of the 2 videos that was advertised as exclusive. Now obviously, nobody wants to buy the same porno they already own. This isn't like buying a pack of Pokemon cards where you take a gamble hoping you get something new. People who make these purchases don't want to own more than 1 copy of your striptease if there isn't even a new wardrobe variant. But they're misled into believing that they're buying something different because you can't see what you're purchasing on OnlyFans until you unlock it. So all they have to do is change the description and price, and you wouldn't know until you make that purchase that you just bought a piece of content you already owned. That's textbook false advertising. You're failing to disclose and mislabeling your product. That's a crime. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. There were also a couple of cases where some creators had advertised on their profile open DMs or request available upon DM. But messaging would be disabled after subscribing, which again is false advertising. Why did I pay a 3-month subscription if I can't even access one of the core elements of not just OnlyFans, but social media, which is communication? When I started making this video, I had hoped OnlyFans was somewhat of an honest practice, but the more I investigated, I came to the somber conclusion that there's just more shady stuff happening than they let on. On the surface, it seems straightforward. You pay for pornography from a variety of its creators. However, unless you're subscribing to like the top 1% of creators on OnlyFans, there's no telling how legit the rest are. And even when you do subscribe to the top 1%, there's still only a slim chance of you actually having the ability to interact with them. I'm sure there are some models that are just trying to make an honest living on OnlyFans, but majority of them get banished to the back room surrounded by a web of lies and deceit that the CEO of OnlyFans is blatantly ignoring. How am I supposed to find these creators when they don't have a convenient way of searching, and the models they're recommending themselves are all bots because AI allows them to get the most engagement? I now fully understand why OnlyFans has never come out as a porn site, because that makes it less subjective to a lawsuit. So yeah, I just had to talk about this because I was shocked how deep this rabbit hole went. What was meant to be just a silly little video for Valentine's Day talking about OnlyFans content turned into a full-on passion project exposing OnlyFans. I didn't even talk about how some of these models might use third-party sites like Snapchat or Telegram to try and scam users via third-party payment apps. That's a whole other rabbit hole that, unfortunately, I'm not qualified enough to speak on. I know this won't make a difference in the long run, but if this video can help anybody put down the credit card or reevaluate their occupational goals, it'll have served its purpose. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, I'm just here to inform you of the risk and let you know there's better things you could be doing with it. That's really about it. So,